It's us again. John Pollock, John Ramdeen, and Robin Black. And the UFC had some news on Thursday. Their January 21st card that was set for the Honda Center in Anaheim, they have scrapped that show as a pay-per-view. Now they're going to be running the Honda Center in August. And on top of that, they're now making UFC 208, the Brooklyn card, in February. Do we follow, Mr. Ramdeen?
Trying my best to. There's a show in Albany coming up this week, and then a show in Toronto coming up. And
there's technically a show in Albany.
And then Ronda Rousey's making her return. Holy cow. Is Nick Diaz fighting in UFC 209?
We have no announcements yet for February. And that's the other issue here, is that the UFC is still planning. They're going to do 12 pay-per-views next year. They have their dates lined up. And do you think that this is a bit of a mistake on their part? When Bellator announces their card, they've got a main event ready for it. Fedor and Matt Mitrione, we know that is happening. And with the UFC, it's, well, we're running this date, this date, this date. Brooklyn, we have booked the Barclays Center. We are running it. What's going to headline it?
We have no idea.
Damned if we know. And on top of that, January 21st is gone. They're back the next week with a Fox card. After that, it's the night before the Super Bowl in Houston, which is the host city of the Super Bowl, and then Brooklyn. I don't know what are headlining these cards.
Yeah,
it's a lot of shows, and you only have X amount of main eventers. You may have a roster of 500, but there's only select guys that can be put in those roles, John.
Yeah, I think maybe one of the reasons why they believe that their brand is strong enough to just announce that we're coming to a city or coming to a place that we haven't been before. I mean, they just got into New York, so you'd figure that market would be hot. The brand is coming to the UFC. We'll see.
There's a card like Albany. Is it just the UFC experience? Because that is maybe the weakest card we have seen from the UFC in years.
But it will come down to numbers, right? It's like we'll see how many people are at this venue. Aljamain Sterling not on the card. Rafael Assunção now not on the card. You have,
Shamil Abdurakhimov in the headline.
And Derek Lewis,
spot.
yeah. But it's heavyweights, and we've seen what Derek Lewis is capable of. And so, well, I don't really know these guys, but isn't this the guy that smashed up Roy Nelson? So you can understand if this is your first experience, you're going to go to it if you're mixed martial arts.
Some of these things are just the realities you got to deal with. If you want to put on 40 shows, you have to book 40 venues. And booking venues is a complex thing. And then planning advertising and planning travel and all that stuff, it has to happen.
You also want to fill those venues.
Yeah, but you want to make those shows between TV and pay-per-view and all those things. This is what we're going to do. So first thing we're going to need is a place to do it. Okay, cool, we got a place to do it. Now who's fighting? That's just the way it has to be. Otherwise, you go and you plan 2 fighters. Hopefully, don't worry, guys. Hopefully, you will fight Pollock, in September. We don't know where yet, but you got to book these things. You got to book the city. You got to book it. So this isn't a perfect methodology, but it's the only one that'll work.
So as an end result, that was going to be a night where not only were UFC and Bellator going to be running the same night, they were going to be essentially fighting for the same market, because Bellator that night is going to be at the Forum in Inglewood, California, with Chael Sonnen and Tito Ortiz.
Awesome.
They've announced Paul Daly and Brennan Ward, which
awesome.
is quite the fight. And Halleck Gracie is back as he will take on
man in jiu-jitsu.
Asaki Kato. So they have those fights announced thus far. So they get the market and the night to themselves. My question is, on these nights, we're going to see it. We saw it a few weeks ago with the San Jose card, the same night as the Sao Paulo card from the UFC, and this weekend as well. Bellator has a card Saturday night, as does the UFC. Does it help or hurt Bellator running the same night? Because for me, I think that there's a lot of people that are at home for a big UFC, especially for a free card, and they're flipping back and forth. And I don't know, is there a larger amount that are reserving their Saturday night if it's just Bellator? I don't know what the answer is.
What I have seen over the last year, more people are talking about Bellator. That's just a reality. And I'm actually surprised, because when Scott Coker came on board, I thought we would see more of a Strikeforce type product. Instead, we're not really seeing that at this point. Yes, they're bringing in Fedor versus Matt Mitrione, and they have some of the old guard of Strikeforce, but it still you don't get a sense that it's the Strikeforce brand or the Strikeforce, foundation. But these are the things that you need to do. Put on Chael, Tito Ortiz. You're going to steal some of that market from the UFC. You're going to steal some of the fan base, because
you're grabbing names for the top, and you're also from the bottom. You're Ed Ruths, Tyrell Fortune, Michael Page,
build these guys
AJ McKee, who's fighting this weekend. It seems that this is a long-term plan, and I think people are generally impatient when it comes to a product being where they want it to. But consider the low that was Kimbo Slice, Dada 5000, and where they are now, just putting on Michael Chandler, Benson Henderson. I think Bellator has made steps forward this year.
Sure, but at the same time, again, Coker is the type of guy that he put Jacare and Luke Rockhold in Strikeforce. So he understands, yes, I got to put on fights with top contenders, but I also have to put on train wrecks. We're here to entertain people. We want to make sure that we cover our bases when it comes to all fans that tune into this fighting product.
I want to see Chael fire that overhand left and try to take down Tito. Because he's going to land it. Like Tito's head is this big, so he's going to land that. But then he's going to go shoot that double on Tito. There'll be a real old school flavor. And not just because, you know these guys and stuff, but think of this as a flashback. You're a football fan. They got all these leather helmeted guys out on the field, doing flea flickers and whatever the old school football crap is. That's what these two guys are going to do. Tito is going to attempt to take down Chael, which is going to be incredibly hard. And Chael will feel confident that out in the open field, he can piece up Tito, and they're going to yak at each other. Tito's going to try to do this thing at the end. It's awesome. It's going to be a great fight.
In some ways, is Chael Sonnen the most impactful signing they have, at least for the foreseeable future? Because you look at the UFC model. Conor McGregor is their biggest draw by leaps and bounds. There's nobody touching him outside of the UFC, and even in the UFC, it's Ronda Rousey, and that's it. If he were to lose significantly, and 4 fights, 5 fights, his drawing power will be impacted. With Chael Sonnen, this guy could lose every single fight he has next year, and I don't know if it matters one bit of people's interest in seeing him. He's a guy you can send out there to do promotion. We just saw him doing commentary for the whole night with Sean Grande and Jimmy Smith. There's so many different roles that a Chael Sonnen can play for Bellator, and it seems like a better fit for Chael Sonnen in Bellator than UFC in 2016 and 17.
I agree, but I disagree with you with Conor, because Conor's just one of these guys. We think about the results. If he lost 3 or 4 or 5 fights in a row. If we remember, Nick Diaz lost 3 fights in a row as well, but they were all split decision losses against some of the best fighters in the world. And at the time, Dana White's like, oh, all these judges, they're idiots. They don't know anything. We're cutting you based on those decisions made from the judges.
I guess it would also be the style of life. This guy just started getting dropped,
exactly.
But you're right. Individual losses, even Kimbo Slice's perfect example. Losses do not mean the end of someone, but it's obviously something that you want that momentum with a Conor McGregor to keep going.
He's so confident that even if he does lose, that Conor will come back stronger, and even if he loses a whole bunch of fights, people are still interested because he seems like he's such a mentally strong guy.
Let me tell you something about Chael Sonnen, too, and jobs like this. You talk to anybody. First of all, he's the nicest guy going. Chael will give you the shirt off his back.
Playing the game.
He's playing a game. He's an entertainment figure, and he's figured out how to use that. My friends over at Fox, some of them had to fire Chael back then. They speak so highly of this guy. He speaks so highly of them. That's the type of guy he is. Anyone he touches as he wanders through business loves Chael. So over at Bellator, they got a huge thing. Having him, he'll be super well liked. He'll do anything, any role that they want him to do, and he'll contribute on every level.
He'll wake up at 6 a.m. to talk to you.
Yeah, Chael Sonnen got up at 6 a.m. to Skype with me from Portland, or Westland, Oregon, the gangster. He got up at 6 a.m. I mistakenly booked him at 6 a.m. and he did it, and then came back again later at 9 and adjusted his day just to Skype some dummy with a goofy haircut up in Canada. And he's done lots of other nice things for me. That's a good dude, man.
So January 21st, that is a big card for Bellator as they close out the year. They have 2 cards this coming weekend, and then they're going to be in Italy and Dublin, Ireland to close out 2016.